Hi guys, welcome to another day of the podcast. I am your host, his daughter, and it is day 11 of the How Was Your Day podcast. Before we get into it, I'm just going to pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, Dad, Abba, Lord, I need you right now. I am, I don't feel good at all. And I feel very ill, and I'm just in a lot of discomfort. I know that even because I have dealt with feeling sick, I have a headache, which just affects my brain and my memory because of just how bad it hurts. So Lord, I pray that I would just allow you to work through me. I pray that this day would truly just show that you are made that your strength is perfected in our weakness, and that even though people may be watching me, that they will see Christ in whatever way you would like them to, Lord. So just help me, allow me to decrease myself and get out your way, so that you may have your way and your will be done. But I just ask that you put words in my mouth right now, and I say whatever I say, and that I would not be so caught up in overthinking whatever I have said in this recording afterwards, but just trusting you even after I finish. But I pray for the listener on the other side, and I just ask that you would be with them, that you would give them rest if they are weary. That you would give them strength, that you would even show them how they failed to be faithful to you today, but also allow them to accept the grace that you've already given them. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Guys, I really don't feel well, and I think that makes this even more difficult to do for me, not because I don't want to talk about Jesus all the time. I do. And not because I won't still continue to have these conversations in my personal life with the people I love, because even today I will. But having to come on a platform and having to come out in public and talk about Jesus while I'm weak, it's not ideal for me as somebody who used to be a proud perfectionist. I no longer carry that pride with trying to be a perfectionist, because it's really not of Christ. But I'm really struggling right now. I'll just get into it. So how was my day? I got up last night. I wasn't feeling terrible. I had a little scratch in my throat, but I could not have ever imagined the way I woke up this morning. I feel so bad. I felt so bad. I felt worse than I actually feel now. You might be able to hear it, like you might not, but I'm very congested. I feel it all in my head. I feel the congestion all in my nose. And when I woke up this morning, all of my neck and my shoulders was like aching. And I kind of thought at that moment that I shouldn't go to work. But there have been some drastic changes in the company over the weekend, and I was like, no, I think I need to go. And even as I got up and got dressed, I was just moving very slow. I just really realized how much pain I was in, and that today would be a hard day to get through. And as I'm literally walking downstairs to go pack my lunch, I'm like, oh, I don't think I should go. But at this point, it's like an hour before I'm supposed to report to work, and I'm just thinking, oh, it would just be inconsiderate or wrong of me to message my boss. Like, no, I'm just gonna go. And so I get my lunch, I go to work. I'm rushing so that I can like get a smoothie. I knew I needed to eat. I knew I had enough time to stop and get something, but I'm thinking I don't even feel like swallowing any like or chewing anything. Like that's just how bad I feel. Like I don't even want to eat solid food, so I'm gonna get a smoothie. So I'm just trying to rush out the house so that I can be on time and get a smoothie. And I was actually like 20 minutes early for work. And then I go into work, and as I'm getting to the door of the building, not the door of the office, but the door of the building, I realize I don't have my badge. And then it just kind of frustrates me because I'm like, see, I know I'm not myself because I don't feel well. I'm in a lot of pain. But even just like this is my first day ever for getting a badge. And I just knew even as I was getting ready, like my mind wasn't as sharp. I was really frustrated with how the headache was interfering with my thoughts. I felt like I didn't even have the words to pray on my way to work because my head was hurting just that bad. I wanted to listen to worship music, but it was just, I didn't want to hear anything at the same time. So I was really just frustrated, like, wow, I really don't feel good. In my whole life, I've never liked feeling or being sick. I just felt like it was just such an inconvenience. Like, what good comes out of this? Um, but I go to work, and one of my coworkers come in the building from the other direction at the same time as me. And we go up together, and he can see just, oh, she's not bright eyed and bushy tailed. Like, what's going on? He's like, you okay? And I'm like, no, I don't feel the greatest. He's like, I know you're not. You're just kind of like floating around. And I was like, I know, but whatever. So I go into work, and another coworker is sitting at my desk, and she's like, I switched places with you today. Another girl came over, and like these two people I'm really close with, the one that's sitting at my desk and who she's telling about. She said, let's call her, I don't know, Chica. She said Chica came over here, and I told her I'm the new you for today, and she was like, no. And it just became like a nice joking moment. But in that moment, I heard her voice, and I'm like, you got germs too? Because I don't feel well. And she's like, yeah, it's my sinuses. And we're talking about the changes in the company and like that. And then I sit there and I realize that I'm still waiting on comments. I don't really have work to do, or at least for the company, and that today would really be a slow day. And even though I wasn't feeling well, it would have been almost better if I had something to like distract me from how I was feeling. So I really wanted work. And so I went around the office asking where where people may have needed help. And there was really just nothing for me to do, which was frustrating. So I sat back and at my desk, and I just started to feel kind of worse. So I get up and I go walk around the office, and I'm going to find people to talk to, people who I usually talk to every day, but I just hadn't seen yet that morning. And on my way to like talk to one of the guys that I talk to all the time, on the way to his desk, some people that I never spoken to like stop me, and they're talking to me, and I'm like kind of caught off guard because once again I'm not fully present. Like, I'm just kind of aching my way through the day, but I'm also just trying to check on the people who are usually in my daily routine. And I'm like, oh, you talking to me? You want to have a conversation with me? Yeah, I'm. How are you? I'm good. Like, I don't feel, and I really don't like to, as you might know, since I come on here and talk about this, I really it really frustrates me when people aren't honest with that about that question. I understand, like, saying I'm good is the default response. Um, but I've had one too many conversations with people where initially they were saying I'm good, but down the line they actually ended up telling me that they weren't, and so much just goodness came from them being honest, and I was able to hold space for how they felt. And so I never want to just have a default response for that, and not allow somebody to be there for me. And I was telling them, I am good, but like I feel terrible. Like, um my throat hurts. At that point my throat didn't hurt, but my throat hurts now. But my neck is aching, my shoulders are aching, like my head hurts. And it was like, oh man, I hope you feel better. Like, and the other guy's like, I just have to tell you this. Like, you always have cool hats. Like, you have the best hats. I see you a couple times, and I guess he said even one day, and I was just thanking him for the compliment. And he was like, even one day you had on two hats. And I was just like, wow, man, I could never do that. And when I had on two hats, I was not wearing two hats. I was joking. I was playing around because that's just who I am. I'm very, I don't know. I could be very random, spontaneous. I'm not sure, but and so I'm like, oh, thank you. He's like, yeah, because of our dress codes in this office, we can't wear hats. And since I've been here for like 20 years, wearing a hat in the building just even feels so wrong. But he said, I guess I'm jealous of you. I said, oh, well, I take your jealousy as admiration. He said, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Because I just want to, you have really cool hats and you always wear hats, and I can't wear my hats or whatever. And that was the conversation, but he was just so nice about it. And also, like, most of the time when I'm wearing a hat, at least, especially as of recently, it's been one of these hats. I have it in, they Multi Apparel sells it in four colors. I think they sell it in four colors. If they have more than four colors, I only have four colors. But I have the dark green, the light blue, the brown, and the navy. And so I wear them kinda frequently. Um, or if I'm just wearing a hat in general, especially as of recently, it's them. And so it was just a nice kind of, it was encouraging, I guess you could say, because I've had conversation about these hats before, but you never know who's watching. And so yeah, that was cool. And it's not like we started an actual conversation about what it means, or that it says Yahweh or anything like that. But it's just like they're watching. People have their eyes on you. Like, just keep, and that was encouragement in and of itself, to just keep being a good representation of Christ. Because also these guys stopped me. I've never really talked to them to have a conversation with me, and that I just see that as encouraging, because I'm like, one day I actually might get the opportunity to talk to them about Christ. And so I go and see the guy that I was waiting to see, and we just joke around. And then he comes up to the front, and we're just talking. And then I go back to my desk, and one of the girls that I mentioned earlier, I gave her a fake name of Chica. She came and talked to me and the coworker, and I was on my way to the kitchen. So I went to the kitchen. I actually don't remember what I was doing going to the kitchen, but then I was looking for a ginger ale, And then I came back from the kitchen, and I guess they had just mentioned me, and they was like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna live a long time." And I was just like, "That's good because I want grandkids and I want to live long to be with them and spend time with them." It wasn't a joke. It wasn't like the most serious thing, but I was just like, I don't know. That was just my natural response. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're glowing," and I was like, "Am I? I don't feel great, so I'm glad." She's like, "No, you're actually glowing." And I was like, "Nice to know, nice to know. You think I look great, but I don't feel great." Like, I'm telling her how I feel sick. She said, "Oh, I can hear it, but you're really glowing." So I was just like, "Huh, that's nice." And then um we kind of talked a little bit. I go back to my desk. Another coworker comes up, and um I move. I go to the front desk to talk to those two people. And as they're talking, I just start dancing. And don't ask me why. That's just what I do sometimes. I don't know. And like back to I said, that spontaneous part of me, or random. And the guy was like, "What are you doing?" And my friend at the front desk was like, "She's dancing, duh." He's like, "Yeah, but like, why is she dancing?" She was like, "I actually don't know, but I'm just trying to figure out how she feels so bad and she's up dancing. Like, I feel bad too, and I'm not up dancing." And even in that moment, I was like, it has to be the joy of the Lord because I really still don't feel well, but I'm just dancing. Like, I don't feel well in my body, but obviously my spirit is just still very much lifted high. And so I go back to my desk and I just start feeling worse. I try to read, I try to listen to something, music, a podcast. It's all getting on my nerves. It's all frustrating. And then I'm like, I just want to go to sleep. Like, I just don't want to do anything. And I don't even have anything to do, but I can't go to sleep at my desk. And so I just decided, oh, I think I'm going to have to go home early. And I really didn't want to. This is the workaholic and perfectionist and like seeking approval of my boss person in me trying to come back up. But I knew I needed to rest. I knew I was starting feeling worse. The aches and pains from my shoulders and my neck started to move down towards like my back. And so I'm just thinking, oh, this is getting worse. Like, I actually need to go home. So I finally make the decision. Um, I finally make the decision to go home. I try to like get with my boss and tell him, but he's in a meeting. So I just message him and I leave. And I come home. I'm on the way home. I'm like trying to call one of my friends to tell her like, look, I know we talk all the time or once a day, but I don't think I'll be up when you come when you're about to call me. This would be the reason. Like, I have to leave work early. I feel awful. Um, and also I'm still working on just a lot of logistics and with the team about uploading, scheduling, figuring out what this ministry or what this podcast is supposed to be. Um, and I get home and I don't even have the capacity to eat. Like, I just put my lunch back in the fridge and I come upstairs, I get a ginger ale, and I go to sleep. And my coworker had given me some medicine, so I started to feel better. After I laid down, it was just like so relieving. Like, I felt so much better, and that's pretty much all I did today. Now, how did the Lord show up in my day? Oh my, oh my, oh my. I think even just as I talk, I just realized I'm getting more comfortable with doing this. Also, I just was like, oh yeah, this ministry. And it took me a very long time. over a year to even think that this was a ministry. It really also took two older, wiser people, or three older, four, four older, wiser people, telling me that this was a ministry, to for me to actually feel comfortable in saying that. Um, so I think, yeah, even just the Lord bringing me that far, and really trusting Him, and really allowing Him was just one of the small ways. Also, when one of my coworkers saw me and she was just saying like, you like are actually glowing, but I feel so terrible. I thought, oh, that could only like literally be Christ going through me. Like that's all that could be, because I'm not sure. But she was just so passionate about telling me that. So that was also just very encouraging. And then later on when I was talking to two of my coworkers, one of the guys and one of the women, um, and they were talking about like, how are you dancing, or why are you dancing in the middle of our conversation and you don't feel good? Like what type of person does that? And it was just really recognizing like, oh, I still got the joy of the Lord. Yeah, I don't feel well. Ooh. Yeah, my head hurts. Yeah, I got a cough. Yes, my nose is running. Yes, I'm congested, but like none of that can stop the joy of the Lord. Like none of that can it can affect it, but nothing can take away the fruit of the spirit when you've really been with Christ. And so, yeah, it's not something that I was trying to do. It's just something that came up and out. Um, and even just like as I go to work every day, more and more people stop and talk to me. And I've been here for a little minute now. And so it's not like they haven't had the opportunity to talk to me, but I just see the network of people that I'm actually building a relationship with, or who's becoming a part of my daily routine, going from like 1 to like 20. And I think that's just so rich of an opportunity to really know that maybe like 20 people I talk to every day in the office, they're watching me, they look out for me, they care for me, um, and they want to have conversations with me. And if they're ever frustrated or anything, that they know they could come to me and I could give them just, I can just be there with them, or I can give them advice or whatever from the wisdom that I get from the Bible, because I'm the youngest person in the office. That's it. That's it's plain and simple like that. Um, but I think the Lord really just He uses who He wants. Even as I hold up my book, I'm on Jeremiah, and like even I relate to Jeremiah so much because he says in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 6, then I said, ah, Lord, behold, I do not know how to speak, for I am only a youth. And I said the same thing. Even when I was dancing, the guy was like, why are you dancing? Like what? And when my other coworker said, I don't I you can see she's dancing, but I don't know why, because we both don't feel well. I could never be. He's like, she's 12. She's like so young. That's why. And I'm just like, no, that's not why. And I'm not 12. But that's just the comparison of like just how drastically young I am compared to the people that I work with. Or I could say maybe like 90%, 90, 95% of the people that I work with. And so, yeah, that's also how the Lord showed up. It part of my day, like I didn't want to talk to many people, but because my head was just hurting, like I just needed to rest truly. And But I am in a group of with people that I met from Act 242 conference, and they asked us what our favorite um, moment from the conference was. And this was very easy for me. Okay, I shouldn't say it was easy, but I had thought about it for a while. So I was eager to share. It wasn't easy in the sense that, like, so much of the conference was so good. But it's just one thing that I noticed that I did. I guess in seeing people's recap, I didn't really hear them talk about, and even like in the moment, I think I posted a day or two after, if not three, that it was such a special moment and it touched me, and so that was also just the Lord helping me to remember, just some of the goodness of the conference. But my favorite part was actually the end. God moved and He was there through all of it. But this was not for just me personally, but it reassured me about all the people that watch, all the people who was on the, all the hosts who was on the stage. And it was the very end of the conference. Jackie and Megan was on the stage. They called up their lead admin. Her name was Channing, and they just thanked her. And I'd say they gave honor where honor was due. And I had been praying, and I know even one of the hosts said like that they had been praying that the Lord would meet every single person and that nobody would be missed, none of the staff. And that was also part of my prayers, even like weeks leading up, that the Lord would also meet those who were the hosts, and that He wouldn't just use them to usher the attendees into His presence, but He would just be all over everybody. When they brought her up, though, it was just so powerful of a moment to me because I knew what we had all experienced was not just the six people on the flyer. It was not a result of them alone. And they did a really good job of talking about this on stage about how many more people it took um, for the conference to happen in the way that it did. But in the moment when they brought her up on the stage to be visible, I could practically see every person helping in her position. I could see the guys in the parking lot. I could see the ladies at the door. I could see the ladies at the merch table. Like I could practically imagine every single person who was a part of serving and helping to put on this conference in that space in between Jackie and Megan. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, just beautiful thing to watch, beautiful thing to witness. It was absolutely one of my favorite. And I want to say right after, um, Jackie and Megan hugged. And like, this was different for me because I felt like, oh, I've never seen Jackie like fully hug someone. And I I'm not saying I know everything she does in her whole life. I'm just saying from what I've seen online. I don't know, I've just always seen even throughout the conference them give side hugs and there's nothing wrong with that. But it just felt like such a powerful moment, and in that moment I was like, wow, this is where I feel like um in that moment I just thought, wow, this is powerful. I don't even fully know why, but this is powerful. Um, but I also was just seeing that with the awareness that Megan had gone through some sort of friendship hurt. I don't know the extent or the capacity, it's not my business. Um, and I just know that I'd never seen Jackie fully hug someone. Like, I just never seen that. And then throughout the week, I listened to her full EP, and I heard her in one of her songs say she rejects a hug because of her dad. And I, after the conference was over, I thought about that moment. I knew it was special in the moment. I didn't fully understand why it was so touching to me. But then I almost felt like, oh, the Lord really did meet everybody. He really was doing a work in everybody from years of hurt and pain. And I'm not saying that he was like, I cannot know what he did for Jackie or Megan specifically. But how I saw his glory was after days of the conference being over, a moment that was already special in and of itself almost had context as to why it was more special, because she talks about rejecting a hug, but we all witnessed her give a full embracing hug to Megan, and I just thought, wow, he didn't miss it. And just to even see friendship and the way that they displayed it was just, it just felt like, wow, God is really a faithful redeemer. In terms of like perhaps Megan's testimony, I can't tell their story for them, but that's just how I saw the glory, and it made me just think and remember, like remember. A lot of this podcast is literally just remembering your day, remembering all that has happened so that you can see God in all of it. And it just made me think of some of the other smaller ways that I felt like I saw God be glorified. One of those ways was I was kind of sitting to the right on the floor in the church, and to the right also on like the steps outward were Ezekiel and his wife. And so when I saw them, Ezekiel had this just very they were sitting there watching Preston for his session, and he had the biggest smile plastered on his face. And I thought, wow, this is what support looks like. Like, he wasn't in an actual seat. I don't know. I don't know if they actually was at the whole conference or whatever that case may be. But when I saw him, his smile was just so genuine. It His support for his friend, just, I saw Christ in that moment. I'm like, wow, this is God. Like, I knew that, I just from his smile just said so much. And to me, it said, oh, they're really friends. Like, he is actually very thrilled to be here and witness his friend talk about apologetics, but like in a preaching kind of way. Honestly, Preston maybe was one of my favorite, if not maybe my favorite session, because I think what he talks about was just, what he talks about is not the average topic that you see talked about in the pulpit, but he did such a good job with it. And even in just seeing him be on the platform, he said, can I be myself? Like, y'all gotta be, I don't remember exactly, but he said, y'all gotta be patient with me or something like that, because he used to being on the street and not on the stage. But when I say, like, his approach was just so unique, it was so, so good. But then even seeing him preach and be on a stage, a lot of his his message did not change. He was Preston Perry on the street through and through, same message. But it was a different way of delivery, and it was so edifying, so encouraging, still convicting, But what was also just special about it to me was his mannerisms and the way he communicated on the stage was very similar to Phil Look, Anthony Mitchell's. And I was like, to me, that was evidence that they really do life together. Like they're really friends in real life. That because I mean, I see these things and it's common. Like when you spend so much time with someone, you pick up on some of their habits or some of their sayings or how they do a certain thing, and even just the way he moved, the way he talked, the way he just referenced things, a lot of his hand gestures and how he moved, it reminded me of Phil's, and I just thought, wow, they're really friends, and that was just that was special to me because um that's what we need in a body. Like we do actually really need friends. Um and it was refreshing to see. It was really, really great to see. You could tell, even just through Preston speaking, that they spend time together and that they, I don't know, it was great. And then another small moment, but I thought was really special and maybe one of my favorite for me personally. Um, or before I even go there, what I enjoyed about witnessing those things was we can often look to people on platforms and who have online ministries and learn greatly from them. But it's not often that we get the chance to see them and how they interact with the people they do life with, or to really know how they live their life. And each one of those moments, I feel, was a closer look at the fact that they really lived this thing out, and it just made me feel like they they actually walk with Christ. I feel like I said it better on as I was typing it out. Let me see what I said. I basically said this is so important for me to see because it's the fruit of living and truly walking with Christ, that we don't always get to observe from the people we learn from digitally. And like they operated in humility, they showed honor, and it was really just I saw God, I saw Christ, I saw Christ. At another moment, I saw I don't know who she is. I guess Jackie's friend, but Jordan with her son, and I'm just like they are just they are exactly who they are in person online. That's what I thought. That's what I saw. Um, but like I was saying, one of the thing a part that was particularly maybe not small moment, but it kind of just came up in conversation, and I really enjoyed it. It resonated personally for me was Jackie, I think after a panel discussion or something, talked about just how grateful she was for the laughter that filled the room because a couple weeks ago or a couple weeks prior to the conference that she couldn't laugh. And I resonated with that so deeply. I it's the little things like that, like even today. How did God show up? I laughed today. I smiled today. In March, for like 2 weeks straight, I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. It was just dark. It was just dark. And so her saying that, I was like, oh, we. It just I felt seen. And I was very, very thankful just for that moment. It may have went over some people's head, but for me, I was like, ah, you know what it's like. You know what it's like. Like in March, I was at this place where I was I was just hurt. I was very hurt. I was very fragile. Um, I was trying to process what happened to me. I was trying to still see the Lord and be faithful. And a lot of people in my community, my family, friends, were asking me how they could help me. And the only thing I asked of them, because I really didn't know how they could personally help me, like with what I was going through, what I was working through, but I just asked them to smile because I realized how much I had took my smile for granted prior to. And just even that reminder in that moment was like, wow, you know what that's like to not be able to smile. You know what that's like to not be able to laugh. You don't think about how much it is how much of a gift it is until um you don't have it, or it's actually so hard to do. And so even in that moment the Lord met me and just showing me how far he had brought me over the past few months. And that was so encouraging. So yeah, that was another part of my day, talking with these ladies and the people that I connected with at the conference and talking to them continuously has been really helpful, and just remembering the conference and being faithful with what the Lord did and how he moved in the conference. Um and then coming home and actually leaving work was a lot of how the Lord showed up my day. Like I had to be humble, operate in some level of humility. I had to realize like for I really did go to work today knowing that I should not have gone. Um I had to ask for forgiveness for that. I knew I should have stayed home, but I was looking for the approval of man instead of trusting that God would allow his grace to even reach me through those who might not follow him, and that be my boss or whatever. And even as I was walking down the stairs in the morning, I was like, I'm not gonna come back home. Like I'm gonna get through this day. And I was kind of just determined in my mind to get through the day. And um I saw a post and it just perfectly describes where I was today. And it said, when work is an idol, rest feels like sin. And that is exactly, I was trying to avoid rest at all costs. And even as I mentioned earlier, I've never in my life liked being sick. I always thought this is just the most inconvenient thing. I hate this. I can't do anything. But today I had a deeper realization that, oh, this is even a part of you just wanting to be a workaholic and wanting to find value in your works, that you can't even rest when your body is not able to work. Um, like it's not even really honoring your body when your body is telling you you need to rest, and instead you just want to continue to work. That's not being faithful. That's not loving the Lord well. That's not taking care of his temple. And so um that was just, I mean, I felt convicted. I have to ask the Lord to help me and forgive me. Like he did a great work this time last year in uprooting that idol in a massive way. I know that if he didn't do the work that he did last year, I would have worked the whole day at work today. But like it's sanctification is a process, and so it's not to say another day, couple months from now, that I won't feel good and that I should stay home and that I would just be the most comfortable and at ease with staying home. But it's a great reminder that he really does work on us and show us ourselves and conform us to the image of Christ every day. Every single day he shows up. Every single day he's shaping you and molding you into who he knew before um he placed you in your mother's womb, and who he formed you to be. So that was really a big part. And then also just knowing that once, like, feeling the relief that I felt after I laid down when I got home, man, it was such a relief that I was like, wow, I robbed myself of this for like 5 hours just to go to work and leave. Just to go to work and really not do anything. Just to try to please man. And I didn't even get to talk to my boss. Like he may not have even saw me in the office before I left. So like what did I really disobey God for? And it was just that. Like I was like, wow, this feels so good. And I went to sleep. I woke up. I When I was laying down, I felt amazing. I almost felt fully better. But as I got up and started to do things, I started to just feel the aches and pains more. And I'm just thinking, wow, what would another 5 hours of rest have done for me by now? Am I even prolonging how long it takes me to heal because I didn't want to just rest? And as I was laying down, the scripture in Matthew at the end of chapter 11 came up like, come to me who are those who are weary, and I will give you rest. Like that just washed over me as I was laying down. And this, I felt the Prince of Peace with me as I was laying down. Just, it was so nice. And eventually I had a sermon playing. It was just talking about how we should not worry, especially when it comes to like things like finances. I think part of me desiring to work so hard is because I've always just been very ambitious and very hardworking, but now as an adult, that even more is tied to my income. But as a disciple of Christ, we should trust in the Lord to provide all our needs more than we trust in our ability to provide for ourselves. And so that was really important for me to just acknowledge, like, and even just those words wash over me, like, just because, which I may make up the time at the end of the week, but just because I had to leave, like, no amount of money is worth me sacrificing my health or even just being obedient to the Lord. And so that's just how the Lord has shown up. As I get ready to finish my night, I do feel better enough to go and tutor one of my students or my student. I do feel better to go and tutor my student because I only tutor one at this time. But I just think about um, the fact that I really need to pray as I go into tutoring her. The last time I was tutoring her, she told me that I was very aggressive. And I was like, I was so taken back. I was so hurt. And I understood, but I didn't think aggressive. Like, I am very passionate about education. And so I could kind of see how that could come off aggressive. I also really love math. I've always loved math. And that's what I tutor her in. And so, um, when I am trying to teach her, it's never my intent to be aggressive. Once again, I think she was describing my passion, but I was telling her, like, I just had to be like, I'm so sorry. Like, does that make you uncomfortable? Like, you can tell me when I'm being too aggressive if that's the case. And she kind of laughed it off. So it wasn't a huge concern, but I really just had to pray in that moment, like, God, am I being a bad representation? Like, am I actually doing more harm doing than I am being helpful? Because even if I'm teaching her, but now she sees me as like this very aggressive, um, like person, then I'm not doing my job fully. Like, I'm doing my job that I'm getting paid for, but I'm not doing my initial job that we are all called to, and that's represent Christ. And so, I don't think knowing her and then just knowing how that conversation went, how she kind of found it funny when I was so shocked that it was just like that she was. I don't think that she actually is bothered by the passion, but the way she described it made me think, oh, I need to come down. I need to change not even change my tone, but maybe lower my voice when I'm talking, or just be more mindful about when I could be getting loud, because often I do know when I see her about to get something right, I get really excited. And if that makes me loud to the point where it makes her uncomfortable, then I have to like check that. So even as I'm going into the next part of my day before it ends, I'm just really able to see the Lord help me to be considerate, help me to be a representation, be a better representation of Him, especially to children. And so, yes, that is a number of ways how the Lord shows me my day. Um, while my breathing has been kind of painful, it's been painful to breathe and swallow and all the things. I still have all these abilities that He grants me with. I have breath in my lungs, and so let everything that has breath praise Him. Maybe not take anything for granted. Even the little things, even when we don't feel well, and may we truly rest and depend on Him, and seek to please Him before we seek to please anybody else, ourselves, our bosses, our companies, anybody. And so, yes, that was my day. I hope you enjoyed, or I pray that you're encouraged to consider your day, to consider Him throughout your day, to look for Him in all things, to consult Him about all things, and even then to follow and listen and obey. Because there's some times today, as I mentioned, that I knew I wasn't supposed to go to work and I still did. Um, and that was wrong of me. And even when you mess up, I pray that you will run back to Him for help, to repent, and to do better. I'll see you guys tomorrow or on the next episode.